Alistair, what do you hope will come from this new inquiry?
Well, I suppose more than anything else, a recognition of the extent of the corruption that has gone on in this case.
But you've had 26 years, 5 police inquiries, you've had 1 court case which then collapsed. There must be somewhere in the back of your mind you think this could be another dead end.
My experience of dealing with this case, the more I find out about it, the worse it gets. And if we're going to deal with corruption in the police force, we have to look at it straight in the eye. We have to see how it works, the nuts and bolts of it, where it started, what decisions were made, etc., etc. And what I want from this inquiry is to look at this corruption straight in the eye, because if we can't do that, then we can never begin to deal with it.
Why do you think 5 police inquiries into who killed your brother have got nowhere?
Because of corruption. Corruption in the beginning, corruption which basically sabotaged the first inquiry, a refusal to recognise that corruption repeatedly over many, many years, and then coming to a point where evidential opportunities are lost, and where the case is so weighted down with the failings of previous investigations that it becomes a legal nightmare to deal with.
Would you accept, however, that the police in 2013 are very different from the way they were in 1986? Do you accept that? No, I don't accept that. You hear, oh, that was then, this is now. I mean, if the same thing happened now as happened 26 years ago, I would be very fearful that the police would act in exactly the same way. That the reflex, default cover-up mentality is still there in the British police. But you have now a Home Secretary in Theresa May who appears to be taking this very seriously.
Yeah.
You've also got something else that's changed. We've had the Hillsborough inquiry, we've had the Leveson inquiry, we've had all the stuff about phone tapping. Do you think that actually helps you in a way?
Well, yes, it's set the scene, I think. You know, it's provided the background to what's been happening in this case, and in many ways the fact that Daniel's murder came up in the Leveson inquiry helped us, because once again it brought back into focus this murder and why were the news of the world doing what they did in that context.
Do you think you will live to see someone finally put on trial and convicted for the murder of your brother?
I think that's extremely unlikely at this stage. The police have. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. To place any hope in it, I think, would be asking for further disappointment.
But what keeps you going then? I mean, 26 years.
I remember more than 20 years ago when I reached a point where I found it completely unacceptable what was going on. I made a promise to my brother. I said, I'm not going to stop until I see this exposed. I wanted convictions. I don't, as we've seen, we haven't had any. But the corruption, I promised myself and my brother that I would expose this corruption. I think if I hadn't done it, knowing what having seen what I saw then, I would probably have, I don't know, it would have destroyed me, I think, internally to kind of not take any responsibility for it.
Just the fact that the Home Secretary is going to announce another inquiry, is there a sense within the family that you have been vindicated after all these years?
Yes, I mean, there is finally a sense that somebody outside the police is taking us seriously. That yes, there was corruption. We've been trying to tell you that for a quarter of a century, yeah, to that extent we feel vindicated. But there is a way to go. The anatomy of this corruption needs to be looked at very carefully.